Gypsy told Ryan and Ken, I don't want to do a paternity test until the baby is born, because if they did it through the amniotic fluid, it is dangerous. Like, it's come a long way. They do the ultrasound and everything, and they can do it that way.
The NIPP or N.
Gypsy Rose's world is unraveling in a way she never anticipated. Once a master of manipulation, she now finds herself entangled in a web of her own making, with a so-called paternity test at its center. Claiming that this test proves Ken is the father of her unborn child, Gypsy has tried to rewrite reality to fit her narrative. But her story is falling apart fast. The test itself isn't admissible in court, and inconsistencies are surfacing at every turn. Ken, meanwhile, is livid. The way Gypsy has orchestrated this entire situation has pushed him to his breaking point. From dubious test claims to public manipulation, Ken's patience has run thin, and it's no surprise that he's finally had enough. We're breaking down why this alleged paternity test holds no ground in a legal battle, why Ken refuses to buy into Gypsy's story, and how Ryan Anderson, her estranged husband, has found himself dragged into this mess against his will. It all began when Gypsy announced that her paternity test confirmed Ken as the biological father. But this proof was just the beginning of a drama-filled saga. For Ken, this revelation was more than just a shock, it was a bombshell that ignited frustration. Not only did Gypsy go public with the news without addressing glaring inconsistencies, but she also left Ken feeling as if he had no control over the narrative.
IPT testing is not approved by the United States Food and Drug Administration. And the reason being is because they are not accurate or reliable. And you can feel free to look into that yourself, but there's a lot of other issues that come along with this non-invasive type of testing while the baby is still in utero. And part of that is if the mother has health issues or has genetic issues.
The credibility of the test quickly came under fire when it emerged that Gypsy claimed it was conducted by the DDC Diagnostic Center, a reputable DNA facility. Yet investigations revealed no DDC locations in Louisiana, where she insisted the test had taken place. For Ken, it's not just about whether he's the father, it's about how Gypsy has mishandled the entire situation from the start. And he's not alone. Ryan Anderson, her legal husband, has voiced his frustration, stating he felt coerced into participating in this spectacle. For him and for everyone involved, this situation has escalated from a personal dispute to an ongoing public nightmare, one that's left a trail of betrayal, frustration, and anger in its wake. Ryan's position in this tangled story is complicated by Louisiana law, which presumes him to be the father of Gypsy's unborn child simply because they remain legally married. For Ryan, agreeing to the paternity test wasn't only about establishing the child's father, it also involved navigating the legal complexities that arise from this presumption. Ryan has shared that he felt pressured to participate, raising questions about how much of this decision was his and how much was driven by Gypsy's insistence. This situation aligns with past concerns about Gypsy's tendency to use influence to achieve her goals, whether by shaping narratives or affecting others' actions. Ryan's reluctance is only underscored by the timing of the test's release. Gypsy publicly shared the results shortly after a livestream where she appeared emotionally unstable. For Ryan, this timing seemed strategic, adding to the sense that the test was less about resolving paternity questions and more about shifting focus away from her behavior during that live broadcast. This raises questions about the real purpose behind the test.
The blood test from the mother can actually cause issues with obtaining any kind of fetal cells that may be in there and isolating them to then test. But to go into that in a simpler way.
Was it genuinely to determine the father's identity, or was it part of a broader plan to influence her divorce proceedings and control public perception? The inconsistencies surrounding the test cast further doubt. Some speculate that Gypsy may have used a home paternity test, which lacks the reliability and legal weight of a professionally conducted one. This distinction matters because home tests often collect samples like saliva or cheek swabs without professional oversight, leaving them more prone to error and potential manipulation. When comparing Ken and Ryan's experiences, a pattern emerges. Both men find themselves entangled in conflicting narratives, emotional manipulation, and intense public scrutiny, all stemming from Gypsy's handling of the paternity test. Ken's frustration lies in being thrust into the spotlight against his will, feeling his life and reputation pulled into a situation he had no control over. For Ryan, the challenge is different but equally intense. He felt pressured into a process he didn't believe was fair, trying to protect himself legally and emotionally.
That is your baby. I've never fought that. Gypsy knows that. It's sad that I have to hear about it through TMZ as far as the test being done. It's really sad. But, guys, I've never fought it.
Gypsy's decision to publicize the test results without addressing inconsistencies has left both men feeling blindsided and manipulated. For Ken, it's about the integrity of the test process and its potential impact on his future. For Ryan, it's the pressure he felt and lingering doubts about the motivations behind the test. Together, their experiences paint a picture of a situation where truth and trust are scarce. This fallout from the paternity test isn't just about the results, it's about the lasting confusion, frustration, and mistrust that Gypsy's actions have created for those around her. The situation surrounding Gypsy's paternity test is made even more complex by Louisiana law, which presumes that a child born during a marriage is the husband's legal child unless proven otherwise. This means that Ryan Anderson, Gypsy's husband, is legally recognized as the father of her unborn child simply because they are still married, even though the child may not be his biologically. This presumption becomes particularly significant since the law mandates that Ryan's name would automatically appear on the birth certificate, delaying the divorce until the baby is born. To avoid legal responsibilities for a child that isn't his, Ryan will likely need a court-ordered paternity test to establish that he is not the father, enabling Ken's name to be placed on the birth certificate instead.
It's a way to, because now they're going to probably sell the results. They already know. I put money on it that they already know who the baby daddy is, and that's fine. Like, I just would have waited till the baby's born to make it a simple swab instead of having a procedure. That's just me. Do what you do, Gypsy. I mean, I'm just being real.
However, concerns have arisen around the paternity test Gypsy used. Some speculate it may have been a non-professional or home test, which would lack the legal credibility needed in divorce proceedings. Home tests, which involve self-collected samples like saliva, are prone to error and potential manipulation, making them inadmissible in court. Additionally, while non-invasive prenatal tests can detect fetal DNA during pregnancy, they carry a high margin of error and are not approved by the FDA for paternity testing due to reliability concerns. Adding further complexity is Gypsy's medical history. Reports suggest she has a chromosomal microdeletion disorder, which might interfere with isolating fetal DNA and could compromise the test's accuracy. This medical factor, combined with questions about where and how the test was conducted, raises doubts about the results and contributes to an overall lack of transparency, leaving observers skeptical about the truth.
Gypsy told Ryan and Ken, I don't want to do a paternity test until the baby is born, because if they did it through the amniotic fluid, it is dangerous. It's come a long way. They do the ultrasound and everything, and they can do it that way.
Ken has voiced frustration at being publicly named as the father under these questionable conditions, while Ryan has expressed feeling coerced into participating. Both men appear caught in a situation where Gypsy's approach seems focused more on control than clarity, as inconsistencies in the test and her behavior following the results add fuel to the controversy. Her live stream statements, which some interpret as provocations toward both men, have further fueled speculation that she may be more interested in generating drama than in resolving the issues at hand. Ultimately, this story highlights the impact of Gypsy's actions on those around her. Both Ken and Ryan feel misled and manipulated, while the emotional toll affects not only those involved directly but also those watching from the sidelines. The legal and scientific aspects of this paternity issue underscore the importance of credible evidence and transparent handling, as personal matters spill into public controversies when mishandled. In Louisiana, any child born within a marriage is legally presumed to be the husband's. For Gypsy to challenge this and prove the biological father is someone else, she would need admissible evidence, such as a court-approved paternity test. However, the test Gypsy allegedly used, a home paternity test, does not meet legal standards for court. Even non-invasive prenatal tests, which can detect fetal DNA during pregnancy, have considerable limitations and are not considered reliable enough for court proceedings.
I refused to do a DNA test while I was pregnant because of the procedure that had to be done. Now, she said that they did it through blood work, but that wasn't even an option. So I don't know how you're doing DNA.
These tests can have error rates as high as 30%. To establish paternity in a legally binding way, Gypsy would likely need to undergo an invasive procedure, such as amniocentesis or CVS, which are more accurate but come with health risks. This could be a reason why she has not pursued them. By relying on less reliable methods, however, Gypsy may be undermining the credibility of her paternity claims. If she intends to use this test as evidence in her divorce proceedings, she is likely to face significant legal challenges. Ken and Ryan now face a difficult decision whether to continue engaging with Gypsy's narrative or try to distance themselves from the drama altogether. The critical issue here is for Gypsy to substantiate her claims in a way that is both credible and legally valid.
Results through blood work from just yourself, unless you actually did the more invasive amniotic fluid test. Which, okay, to each your own, go for it. But from when people found out you were doing the DNA test to when it was released on who the baby was, we were told you were doing it on Monday. On Monday you had results. That's not how it works.
As more details emerge, it will be crucial to focus on the evidence, distinguishing fact from fiction. This situation remains highly complex, and without solid proof, the questions surrounding paternity may continue to fuel speculation and mistrust. Certainly, here's an expanded version that delves deeper into the complexities of the case, the impact on each person involved, and the broader implications. In Louisiana, the law presumes that any child born within a marriage is legally the husband's child. For Gypsy to dispute this and establish someone else as the biological father, she would need reliable, court-admissible evidence, specifically a court-approved paternity test. However, the test Gypsy reportedly used, a home paternity test, does not meet the required legal standards and lacks the oversight necessary for accuracy in legal proceedings. Non-invasive prenatal paternity tests, which can analyze fetal DNA in the mother's blood as early as the first trimester, have also faced scrutiny. These tests, while convenient, can have error rates as high as 30% and are not considered reliable enough for legal contexts. Thus, to establish paternity in a legally binding way, Gypsy would likely need to pursue an invasive procedure such as amniocentesis or CVS, which are far more accurate but come with their own risks. This could explain her hesitation in opting for such methods. However, without conclusive proof, Gypsy's current approach may undermine her credibility and raise doubts about her paternity claims. In choosing not to pursue a more accurate test, Gypsy's case may lack the weight needed to influence court decisions, which could significantly impact her divorce proceedings. Louisiana law is particularly strict in cases like this until reliable evidence is presented to the contrary. Ryan would legally remain presumed as the father. This situation is further complicated by the fact that under Louisiana law, any child born before a divorce is finalized will automatically list the husband as the father on the birth certificate, regardless of actual paternity. Consequently, Ken, the alleged father, would face a lengthy process to prove his status if Gypsy fails to produce legally sound evidence. This process could delay the divorce and create additional legal and financial obligations for all involved. For Ken and Ryan, the situation grows increasingly complex. Both men find themselves caught in a web of conflicting narratives and public scrutiny, each facing his own set of personal and legal challenges. Ken's frustration is evident as he has been thrust into the spotlight with his life and reputation at stake, subjected to Gypsy's claims without what he considers credible proof. Meanwhile, Ryan finds himself legally tied to a child that he has no connection to, burdened with potential financial responsibilities and unwanted media attention. For Ryan, this situation has raised serious questions about Gypsy's motives and the authenticity of the paternity claims. Further complicating matters, Gypsy's medical history could potentially interfere with the accuracy of a paternity test. Reports suggest that she may have a chromosomal microdeletion disorder, a genetic condition that can add complexities to the process of isolating fetal DNA accurately. If the reliability of the test results is already under question due to both the test's origins and Gypsy's medical background, this could amplify doubts about the paternity claim, adding further strain to an already tense situation. As more details emerge, it's essential to consider how Gypsy's actions have affected everyone involved. For Ken, this is not only about whether he is or isn't the father, it's about the impact on his life, the harm to his reputation, and the questions raised about Gypsy's motivations and credibility. For Ryan, who feels pressured into taking part in a narrative he never chose, the situation highlights the intense personal toll of dealing with public scrutiny and navigating legal obligations in a case where the truth remains elusive. This case serves as a reminder of how personal conflicts can spiral into public controversies when mishandled. Gypsy's decision to release the test results without addressing inconsistencies has led to confusion, frustration, and mistrust for all parties involved. The legal and emotional fallout from these actions is not limited to the results alone. The process and implications of her actions have left both men feeling blindsided and manipulated. To move forward, Gypsy will need to provide clear, credible, and legally valid proof of paternity if she intends to use it as part of her divorce proceedings. Until then, both Ken and Ryan are left to grapple with the effects of these unresolved questions and the damage caused by Gypsy's approach. With every new revelation, this story becomes less about paternity and more about trust, manipulation, and the struggle for control over personal narratives. It's a complex, emotionally charged saga that emphasizes the need for truth and accountability both in and out of the courtroom. As more information surfaces, it will be crucial for those watching to sift through the details and separate fact from fiction. This story is far from over, and each revelation sheds light on the tangled relationships and legal intricacies that continue to shape the lives of everyone involved. For now, the only certainty is that the road to resolution will be long and fraught with challenges. Thank you for watching as we unravel this complex and emotionally charged story. If you have thoughts or questions, feel free to share them in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more updates. Until next time, stay informed and think critically.